The year is 1994. You're an adolescent male living in Cleveland, Ohio, and beginning to outgrow your grunge phase, right as the mainstream milks the cultural movement dry, sucking any genuine sincerity, brilliance. It's just gone. It's lying dead just like Kurt Cobain. You're left without music. Sure, you enjoyed what you heard from Nirvana, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains, but it isn't quite cutting it. You want something with a harder edge, something tougher and abrasive, something that challenges you as a listener, like what you heard on In Utero the year prior. Because the internet is not a thing, you start reading underground fanzines at your local record store and start trading cassette tapes across the country, learning about bands like the Melvins, Tad, Big Black, the Jesus Lizards, Scratch Acid, Neurosis, Cherubs, etc. Until you wander into your local record store and stumble across a CD with an eerie painting of an abstracted figure on the cover, simply titled Craw. You turn over to the back and try to get more information on this bizarre record you've just stumbled across when you're greeted with another weird painting of a tribal man standing in the foreground against obscured faces. Or is it infants impaled on spears? It only further confuses you along with the blurb of text written. Step, turn backwards and judge. Walt Whitman's dead and gone, the songs of our electric bodies. It's repulsive, oblique, and grotesque, but it pulls you in and it's hard to look away. It's like staring into a Lovecraftian pit of horrors. It drives you mad just thinking about it, just looking at it, but oops. Now all you can think about is this record. So you immediately buy this and bring it back to your home and put the disc into the family stereo system, but then you realize last time you put Big Black in there, you blew out the speakers. You pop it in your CD player, you put on your headphones, you press play. The album begins with the first song, Aphasia. And it immediately slams you against the wall with the sludgy and buzzing guitars, crazed vocals, and stomping rhythm section. It leaves you aghast. You've found exactly what you've been looking for in music, and it was at your local record store. So as you begin to acclimate to the sonic assault, you're greeted with the next track, 405. The song details a harrowing tale of a woman surviving a plane crash, only to be plagued by a stalker / ex-boyfriend, bouncing between the two chronological points in the story. Sung by a tuneless man, backed by a pounding sludgy band, while a guitarist runs haywire, causing interference to the song.
What the hell is this CD, and who is this band?
Well, I was asking similar questions myself 5 or 6 years ago on Christmas when my older sister gifted me 3 CDs, 2 of which were Unwound, Fake Train, Repetition, and the third, Craw's self-titled release. This was right in the period when I was studying at a Berklee College of Waste Your Parents' Money. Berklee College of Music, that's right, yeah. Not a money investment to network or anything. Anyways, this is just right in the period where I was just becoming very jaded with the environment of jazz, progressive, super technical, heavy metal music that is Berklee. I mean, alumni like Steve Vai, John Petrucci, Brad Whitaker from fucking Aerosmith. I don't think I got his last name right, but we're carrying on with it. I'm gonna piss off all the boomers with this. So basically, while everyone was getting super technical and into like proficiency, I was delving deeper into bands talked about in Michael Azarad's Our Band Could Be Your Life, scenes from the American Underground 1981 to 1991, such as Sonic Youth, Big Black, Fugazi, Mudhoney, aka what is classified as post-hardcore music. Essentially when punk rockers were like, hardcore punk is becoming too formulaic now, and decided to apply the same aggression of hardcore with more experimentation and composition, abrasive textures, lyrical content, leaning on the darker side of American culture, which would be later further expanded upon in what is known as the pig fuck subgenre. But I'm sidetracking a little bit. While I don't call myself like a metalhead anymore, I'm still like a fan of metal music, whether it's like the classic boomer stuff like Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Metallica, or like the more experimental, progressive, noisier interpretations on the genre, such as Voivod, Neurosis, Today Is the Day, I Hate God. With like that being said, this is why Craw struck a proverbial chord with me, because it combined like all of the elements I love in post-hardcore, sludge metal, noise rock, classic like progressive rock, math rock, and it just like put in this like neat package of 69 minutes of just pulverizing intensity. But I'm rambling a bit. Let's get to the matter at hand. Who is Craw? Craw formed in Cleveland, Ohio in 1988 with Chris Apanius on bass, Aki Brockway on rhythm guitar, Laurie Davis on drums, David McClelland on lead guitar, noise guitar, however you want to classify it, and Joe McTighe on vocals. They would record one demo tape in 1990 at Case Western Reserve before Laurie departed the band. They would recruit drummer Neil Chaston and record their first release, Cellophase, in 1991 at Modern Recording in Cleveland with John Walsh recording, engineering the record. There was also a demo recorded in 92 which can be downloaded from the band's website. And in January of 1993 they would record the 405 Stomp 7-inch single with Bill Krecky, which would be their first release of Cleveland, Ohio record label Choke Inc. in June of that year. Cellophase 92 tape and the 405 single would feature the songs Eidolons, Wordfall, Elliot, My Sister's Living Room, 405, and Stomp that would be all re-recorded for the 93 self-titled album. Listening to the earlier recordings of these songs are obviously much more lo-fi and kind of slightly faster compared to like what would be captured in 93. So, Craw entered the studio with renowned and controversial, this is putting it lightly, recording engineer, musician Steve Albini, most known for recording the Pixies' Surfer Rosa, The Breeders' Pod, all of the Jesus Lizard discography from 89 to 94, and of course, Nirvana's In Utero. That sounds familiar. Okay, now that we're all caught up, we all got context of like who Craw is as a band, I get to finally gush about this album. Starting with number 1, sequence flow, musical continuity. Nightmare, 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 nightmare. The way the self-titles track list is sequenced, the songs flow one into another like falling through fever dreams that just do not relent. Like when you think you found like a moment of peace, just like a moment of sanctuary from just all of the like the noise and chaos, it like found itself finally, it's just quiet. Wrong! You just keep going deeper down into this horrifying sonic landscape that just sort of keeps compounding upon you until it just breaks your inner psyche. This is especially the case with the first quarter of songs from Asphasia to the first Wednesday of the month, My Dudes. For me though, the biggest highlight is how Mora is Vanishing seamlessly transitions into To the Child Reader and then into Wordfall. It's just insanely good. You have to like listen to it to get the full experience. Describing it with words or just playing the little snippet example of me just doing this quick medley is not enough. You have to like listen to this album. But bottom line, it's really great. And this definitely, at least I got a strong hunch, this is definitely like a precursor to like what Neurosis would implement on Times of Grace, which is also recorded by Albini. But then again, this is just sort of speculation, and Neurosis was already kind of experimenting with sort of sequencing their tracks to flow into one another anyways. But just because your album sequence good doesn't mean it's great. You have to have great songs. But fortunately, Craw's self-titled has that in spades. Musically, it is complex, layered, and intricate without it being over-bloated compositionally. The use of like odd time signatures is meant to like create this sense of disorientation to like the various hectic scenarios. Instead of being like, look how great and proficient we are as musicians. Ooh, I'm Dream Theater. I'm already gonna get a lot of shit in the comments. Not a good start for first video, but we have to stay strong. Critique from audiences is always important. But anyway, for example, the intro to Cobra of the North features jolting starts and stops from Rocky and Neil as David and Chris create a noisy drone and wall of white noise, pink noise. And at the 1 minute and 10 second mark, Chris locks in with Rocky and Neil. And then Neil makes a metric building drum break where he sort of increases like the measure length of his drum fill right before the band kicks in to the song, and it just like goes into high gear. Each song paints like different scenes that range from chaotic and colossal to more somber, ambient, and eerie moments. Another important element in the songs is that the musical ideas and riffs keep progressing and evolving, where the beginning and end of the song are almost two different pieces of music. Not to say riffs are only played one and done and on to the next, but they're repeated a certain number of times and then shift into the next phase of it, which may take on similar elements on what was done or drastically change the feel and tempo of the music. Songs like 405, Mora's Vanishing, My Sister's Living Room, Thinnest Line, and Eidolons do this exceptionally well. Number 2, production and the division of responsibility between Rocky and David. Oh my fucking god, Steve Albini knows how to capture the essence of a loud, noisy band, and it shows with Craw. It makes all of their previous recordings sound like stillborn fetuses in comparison. The sound is just impeccable on this record. The way Rocky's sludgy guitar tone is so incredibly thick, it pushes as much air as like Chris's bass and Neil's kick drum. While this can be somewhat of a negative, considering it can be hard to always hear the kick drum in the recording, as both Rocky and Chris are fighting over the same frequencies, it's not to the point that it's detrimental to the listening experience. Like, to compare to another band, it's like how on the song Tooth Fairy Retribution Manifesto by Rodin, where the kick drum is kind of panned further left in the mix, that it disappears when all the other instruments join in, yet it creates a certain atmosphere that reflects like the nature of the song. But that's for another video for another time. We have to get back to Craw. Rocky's guitar locks in tightly with Chris and Neil and punches hard in that Albini way, where everything is massive and just slamming. But how does like anything else cut through the mix besides Joe McTighe just being insane? But that will be for the later segment. Enter David McClelland, the perfect foil to Rocky's sludge. David's guitar on the surface sounds like it's running errant and causing interference to the song, like radio static interrupting a broadcast.
Oh, you can't just make random noises! Why can't you just play the song?
Guitar go. In reality, it is the perfect complement to the metallic wall of sludge and punch that takes up a large amount of the sonic real estate. His tone is very much akin to Dwayne Dennison of the Jesus Lizard, being as bright and abrasive as possible to cut through the mix, only it operates more chaotically. It flies in the face of everything you're taught about being a conventionally good musician, and distinguishes David as a sonic skyscraper architect. But this only works because of how strong of a foundation Rocky, Chris, and Neil built. Rocky sticks to playing the song, while David plays anything but the song. Number 3, the singer can't sing. Help me, I need an adult, please get me out of this room. In any other context, Joe McTighe would be considered an awful singer. But in Craw, he elevates the unsettling scenarios he portrays in his lyrics like some guy at the bar who is shouting at you, cornering you like a madman. He's not singing anything but like the key of Joe/Craw. Half the time, he's not even singing completely in sync with the rest of the band, and yet it is infinitely more interesting compared to anything that is good in comparison. A few excerpts I'd like to read to you are, "It wasn't his fault. Turn off that camera, motherfucker. You expect me to believe that a gentle little girl like this could hurt you? Strangest freaks of nature's law. Here for ye, we bring together. I don't want this lucid dream to ever end. Extractive industries stop at nothing. I take credit for the May 24th bombing." Whether Joe is singing about some crazed terrorist attempting to kill an environmental activist in Stomp, or a neighbor and their aptitude for normally violent sex in my sister's living room, he's not putting on a persona. You're getting 110% of his manic fury. Conviction and range that Joe has, from dynamics of harpy screeching, atonal crooning, possessed growling, to frantic shouts, and the interesting text makes up for any shortcomings one may find. Paired with Albini's low-in-the-mix vocal production, it intensifies the claustrophobic, disorienting atmosphere and harrowing performance. Number 4, the conclusion, and to wrap this up because I have no idea of how to transition. I love this album more than I love myself. But in all seriousness, Craw's self-titled album means a lot to me, and it deserves a lot more recognition for how great it is. It has continued to inspire me musically and push forward creatively. Like, because of this record, I would discover the rest of their discography, and spoilers, it's also phenomenal and consistently great. I would attend the Audio Engineering Society AES banquet in Cambridge, Massachusetts last spring to ask Steve about his experience working with Craw. And I ended up connecting with Rocky Brockway on social media, mainly to bug him about all the gear he used back in the day. Thanks for being patient with Rocky. I'm kind of a spaz like that. Also, side note, I did end up getting the amp that he used for the self-titled album. I really am obsessed with this shit. It's not even funny. Actually, I remember one time, it's when I had my part-time job way back in the day, showing people new music. I was working at a guitar shop. It was it's not open anymore. It's Matt Humanoff Guitars. I was able to snag the aux cord and was be able to play the first 3 songs from self-titled, but by the 3rd song, when it was Cobra of the North, and when it got to the the guys were turn that off. I lost my aux cord privileges. It's just sorry guys. The more I think about it, it's kind of incredible that this weird and innovative music keeps coming out of Ohio. What is up with the state of Ohio? We got Devo and Chrissy Hines from Akron, Brainiac from Dayton, and Craw in Cleveland. Of course, I'm probably leaving out a bunch of other great bands and the whole electro funk scene in the 80s, but give me time. I'm still learning about music. I'm relatively young and new to the game. Sorry, boomers. Besides me wanting to gush about this band and this album, I just really want more people to check out Craw. It's not hard to find them now. They have their discography on Bandcamp, all major streaming platforms, and their website. But everything else is just shrouded in obscurity, full lyrics and rare split singles. The only lyrics you can find online are for the song 405, and that's it. The original CD booklet only contains fragments of lyrics for all of the other songs. Plus my copy has a hole punched through the jewel case, and it got through the booklet, so that kind of is kind of like made things a little bit more mysterious on like which letters have been punched out. The only place I know that all of their lyrics are published is in the booklet for their 1993 to 1997 reissue anthology. And whoops, all of that is sold out, and I highly doubt that Northern Spy Records will press anymore. But at least I know I can borrow my friend's copy of the booklet, at least until the, you know what we're talking about, is like all over. But Micah, how did he get a copy of that vinyl set? Well, I told him about Craw, like when first like talking with him, and like he found like a used set on Discogs. Besides that, there's footage of their 2 reunion shows they did in 2016 up on their YouTube channel, and 1 show back in '96 in Pennsylvania. Other than that, there are like some other online publications, a couple of podcasts talking about the band, interviewing like one of the members, but like there's like really nothing else. They rarely played shows outside of Cleveland, and they have remained in like their kind of bubble. The only time they got like larger distribution was when they put out their 4th and last album, Bodies for Strontium 90, on Hydra Head Records. Honestly, they deserve more, and I hope to like be able to change that with this video. Craw like deserves to like have that same recognition and have like a documentary to prove to people, hey, this band exists. It's like Slint got Breadcrumb Trail, Steve Austin of Today's the Day got The Man Who Loves to Hurt Himself, Brainiac got Transmissions After Zero, and even hell, John Grabsky III got Rock vs. Cancer, detailing the making of his album The Strain before his untimely passing. Again, another video for another time, but it's like the point is there needs to be a Craw documentary, and I hope my video is like the first stepping stone to like making that happen, because brilliance like this cannot remain in obscurity forever. Thank you for watching my video. Cheers.